technically, you can't do what Nicola has said she's going to do.
What was that?
The budget will have been written, and the spending that was going to happen, because it hasn't happened, has been recorded in the books. As a consequence, the books will look better than they would do, even though the Minister of Finance has said that we're going to make sure the money is spent in the future.
Hang on. So let me get this clear. So because they budgeted for 21,000 families to be able to get this full $75 a week, and only 249 families got it, that means it's like if I had a savings account that I was saving for a car, and I had $500,000 in it because I have a really flash car, and I took 500 out because I was out by that much, then in the bank there'd be all that leftover money from me buying the second-hand Corolla rather than the Ferrari. That's basically what it is.
Importantly, the Treasury scoops all of that back and says, that belongs to us now.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you say, but I'm going to spend it, the Treasury says, no, you can't. That's in the past. And as a consequence, if you want to spend it, that's new spending in the future. That has to come out of the future year's allowances. So that means you're actually, in the real world, what you're doing is you're cutting spending in the future to pay for the promise that you promised in the past.
Okay. So when you say, because Nicola has said, well, the news report said that they were going to address it in the weeks after the budget. Why do you mean she can't do that? Is that because there's no money going to be allotted for the weeks after the budget to do anything about it?
That you can't retrospectively go into the accounts. So what the accounts will say is, here is a sum of money, here is the accounts as at the 1st of April, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
She'll say, well, we had this money that we didn't spend. Treasury's recorded the fact it didn't spend it, so the accounts look better than they should do.
Yeah.
She then says, I want to spend that money, but the money isn't there.
You're right.
Because the money has been absorbed, because in the accounts, it's not been expensed. So as a consequence, in the future, if you want to spend that money, you've got to choose to spend that money, which means it has to come from the future year's allowances, which means it acts just like a cut in spending in the future. It's like a pre-commitment in the future. So she's actually cutting to pay for the mistake she made in the past.
So the 249 families rather than 21,000, as I said, they're wrong by over 99%, 99.988. I did the numbers, 249 divided by 21,000. For them to fix that error, fix their mistake, they have, remember, this is the party of business, by the way, the guys that know their numbers, they're going to have to cut something else that they've already budgeted for because that money's not there. To make it more available to people. So my little silly analogy of a $500,000 car, it's like the difference is, it's like I saved up let's say a house. I saved up $500,000 for a house, and then I decided to go renting, and I only spent $5,000 of that money. It's like, it's what you're saying is then the other $495,000 is gone. It's been absorbed by whatever. So it physically, well, even on the ledger, doesn't exist anymore. And if they want to redress it and make it easier for these 20,750 families to come onto it, they have to find that money from elsewhere because that was supposed to be of last year's budget. And now, so that was the thing, that was supposed to be spent in the last year. And because it hasn't, it's gone. So to spend it in the next year, they need to find it elsewhere, which means more revenue or more likely cuts. Have I got that right?
You're exactly right. That is, and so it acts, because it acts directly like a cut, right? Because you're having to find the money, right? Because it's the same money, right? Because it acts like a cut. You're going to cut health or education or something else in order to pay for the money you should have pushed out of the door at a certain point in time. And because the books have already been written, you can't go backwards.
I'm going to be sick. Craig, this government, mate. And just so you know, at what point in this conversation did you realize I'd started an interview and I'm going to use it on Monday night? Did you realize that Got closer to the microphone. There you go. Look, there is another 5 minutes that we do continue to talk about it, but we kind of go elsewhere and ask a few more "what do you think" questions. So I know you were all watching a rodeo clown think in real time there. I apologize about that. But there is a few ways they can do this. That means they can cut to find the money. They can borrow to find the money. They can grow revenue to find the money. We all know they're not going to grow revenue. That's not the MO of this thing. Or the last option is they cannot do what they're saying they're going to do now. So therefore they don't need any more money. Barb, that you know numbers. Is that pretty clear what Craig said? We're all clear on that. People in the chat are swearing and stuff, so they obviously get what's going on. But this again, I started this interview by saying this hasn't been talked about enough. This point should be leading all the news bulletins tomorrow, don't you think?
Yeah, well, they should be asking the Minister of Finance, like, when did she find out that there was going to be an underspend? And did she make decisions on it before the budget moratorium, which we are now in? Basically, budget moratorium means you can't fiddle with the accounts basically from Easter, 6 weeks before the budget, because Treasury are finalising their forecasts. But effectively what Craig said in even more simpler terms is the way that FamilyBoost is set up, if you don't spend the money, it goes back to the middle. And if you want to spend the money, then you need to find the money for it. It's a new spending initiative. It's a new allowance. So they may extend. So we'll find out from budget how they've managed to deal with that money. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if, whether she's made any decisions since Thursday, since knowing this had hit the media, like what her office or what Treasury will be doing, given the minister has now said to the public, oh, we can't do anything now because of budget, but we will fix it later. So it's quite clear.
With what?
They weren't going to do anything. They weren't going to do anything, but because they've been caught out, they've had to respond to it. So it's just, again, just the government who's supposedly better economic managers not understanding how their own legislative authority for FamilyBoost is set up and not basically understanding how the government accounts work.